Welcome everybody to Bump and Run Sports. Oh my God, Bump and Run Sports. Joining me is Steve. We had a lot of strange things going on. As many of you know, I've gone over to Wager Talk. Steve has joined me over there, and KJ, my faithful compadre, just on the road all the time, and we've just completely lost doing the golf podcast. It just became too much and we've gotten away, but there was a lot of other things I wanted to do with the podcast. I want to get back to doing golf, but I want to get ready to do some other things, and we have some cool concepts, and Steve, you and I have been working together pretty good. So we just said, fuck it, man, hit record.
Let's do it. Yeah. I'm happy to be here. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. We have a great dynamic because I'm from Indy. Steve is from the Boston area, so we have the Colts Patriots rivalry. I have no baseball team, but the Red Sox obviously thing. And let's just start there. The Peyton versus Eli, or not Peyton versus Eli, I guess Peyton and Eli broadcast. Everyone's talking about. Everyone's like, this is revolutionizing TV. I'm not even watching the other stream. So I have some thoughts, because right now the opinion is it's the greatest thing, and I'm going to watch that and not the regular broadcast. And oh my gosh, they have all these amazing athletes. They had Gronk, they had Brett Favre, they had McAfee, who's still a fucking clown. I live 2 miles away from the Broad Ripple creek that he got all fucked up and swam in, which is basically sewage. I live 2 miles. If you remember that story, I live 2 miles from it. Dude, if my fingertip would touch that water, no way. So I think it's pretty obvious, Peyton and Eli, that thing works. I think there's a lot of interesting things. So right off the bat, Steve, Peyton and Eli, what's your take with this stuff?
I know it's the popular opinion, but I do love it personally. I mean, it's great seeing them, not in the studio. Well, in the studio, but not in the booth, essentially, kind of like watching the game like we are. I know that's the consensus take. But personally, you bring up Pat McAfee. I kind of almost feel like the guests, and he brought this up last night, actually, towards the end of the game. I think the guests kind of slow them down a little bit. I think it's kind of maybe a little bit less guests, maybe a couple a night or something like that. Because when these guys come on, it seems like Peyton and Eli are a little thrown off. They're a little not as focused on the game. I kind of like some of the stuff that they bring up, in game, as some of the stuff that Peyton's seeing, some of the stuff that Eli's seeing. So that's my overall take on it so far.
So, yeah, I think Eli's already lost. That was all Peyton last night. Eli was like barely talking. And then when they got the guest in, Eli was just sitting there. So I have questions about this, because eventually it's just going to be too much Peyton. That is going to wear thin, where Peyton is just, overdoing everything. And he kind of has to, because Eli's just sitting there like a fucking bump on a log, like throwing out a couple things. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time he said, yeah, Peyton, just regurgitated what Peyton said. The guests are tricky. If you have a guest that doesn't work in the studio, it's a mess, and you're just stuck there. If a guest has bad audio, it's a mess. If they're not talking, it's a mess. It's just like Patrick Willis, he has all this information, but he was just like, yeah, well, when the guy, like, it wasn't interesting. Like, he had knowledge, but being on camera is hard. And when you haven't done it, for someone like Patrick Willis, he's nervous and he's just kind of talking in this monotone thing, and he's not bringing any excitement to the table. So, he said something that was really interesting about the way a linebacker played it. Like, it was the one where Aaron Jones did a little jab step and then caught the linebacker off, and his point was really interesting, except it was boring as hell to listen to. It wasn't entertaining. And it just I don't know. What's up, Brian? How you doing? Well, I'm sorry, Steve. So this is a podcast, guys, but we are recording this live on YouTube. So it's a YouTube feed. So if you hear me say hi to somebody in the room,
what's up, Brian?
that's what it is. Yeah, what's up, Brian? All right, what were you gonna say, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I can see your point on that. I mean, Peyton is carrying the show. Obviously for the most part, and Eli isn't saying too much. I mean, but but would you be that critical of it if it was are you that critical of the regular broadcasts? Are you that, what I mean? Are we over dissecting it a little bit where, are you looking at the regular broadcast and going like, they're not being entertaining enough or like, they're not saying enough or, I mean, I know these guys get like ridiculed left and right, you know what I mean? But not on a nightly basis like this.
No, I know. And I can't stand when regular, like the hatred for Joe Buck, I'll never get. Like, okay, that he's just doing play-by-play. Like he's literally telling you that somebody hit a baseball. And, and so like I've never understood that. Like, it's the classic Joe Buck hates my team. And it was like, well, apparently Joe Buck hates every baseball team in Major League Baseball. If you listen
to the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah. But so what Peyton and Eli are doing are a real novelty, and they're trying to tell you what's going on, and they're trying to tell you why. They're doing something so over the top special that they have to be on point 100% because you're not getting the crazy crowd. It's all them. You don't get they don't get a chance to breathe and let the crowd like do something. They're always they're always talking, and I don't think it's got longevity. I think it's fun now. Can you see this working in 2 years with those two? I don't.
It might wear thin on some people, right? I mean, it's maybe it doesn't have long-term legs on it, but I mean, it's been entertaining so far, and maybe Eli's not the guy to do it with Peyton. Obviously,
Yeah, and then the other thing is like, well, how many guests are you going to have? At what point do you run out? Because the way I'm looking at it, they're already running out of guests that aren't very good on camera. Like, I actually thought McAfee was way too much. That was way too much.
Yeah, I agree. It was, like I said, I do agree with his point though. He actually said, amazing that he's the guest on it. And he says, I think it's worth, I don't think there should be guests on the show.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny, right? But I mean,
yeah,
he was a little over the top, and that's how he is, right? But
yeah. So I worry about the longevity, and the other thing is, the worst thing that's going to happen is other people are going to try and replicate it, and it's going to bomb. It's going to be awful, and the reason they're going to try and replicate it is I don't think this was a channel that this wasn't a channel that hired Peyton and Eli to come in and do this. Peyton and Eli's company did it, or Peyton's company did. So they just outsourced this. So you're going to see more athletes do this, and you're going to have other brothers try and do it. You're probably going to have other teammates try and do it. I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to go very good. But let's get to Peyton dropping just casually that he's convinced that Gillette Stadium's bugged.
Yeah, this is a good one between you and I to talk about because of your connection to Indianapolis and mine to the New England area. It was pretty amazing that he brought that up, right? He actually said that he legitimately thought that they were bugging the locker room. I mean, Eli had brought up, were you nervous that after my Super Bowl in Indianapolis that they had bugged it for the following year? So pretty funny stuff that he actually believed that. But I mean, the Patriots had his number at Gillette Stadium, especially, in the postseason.
Yeah. So, and then what did you say? Ty Law said,
Ty Law this morning on our local radio show fired back at him, was basically saying, I don't think that it was bugged. I think it's because we were in his head, and then he said, I'm not going to give away any secrets right now, but let's just say we knew what he was doing. We knew where he was going. And then he poked at him a little bit and said, huddle up all you want, because Peyton had said, we had 7 guys. I told people not to talk to me near my locker, and we had 7 guys huddled up in the showers, which was kind of funny. And Ty Law was like, huddle up in the showers all you want with your little buddies, but you know what I mean? We didn't have the locker room bugged, but.
Well, so what I will say about that is, of course, that's what Ty Law and the Patriots have to say. You have to. What are you going to do? Come out? Yeah. We bugged the fucking shower drain. What are you going to do? But the other thing is the Patriots were not the only one that had Peyton's number. I mean, like to this day, Brady, let's see, Brady, I guess you could say Montana or Steve Young, but Brady's kind of the only one that really didn't have anybody that totally had their number. I mean, Peyton, got him a few times, but I mean, as good as Peyton was, being an Indianapolis fan, the Chargers fucked us upwards, sideways, backwards, and forwards, man. Like Phil Rivers and that team, they always gave us fits. And what they did was they just lined up in a way that confused Peyton. Like, so the Patriots were not the only team that gave him absolute nightmares. Ed Reed. Ed Reed was a thorn in the – now, I mean, Ed Reed was one of the best to ever do it, but I mean, Ed Reed always had Peyton's number. So it wasn't just the Patriots is what I'll say.
Just very interesting though that, in the postseason, Peyton was 0-2 at Gillette, but 3-0, combination between the Colts and the Broncos at home. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I know it's only a 5-game sample size, but he also struggled there in the regular season as well.
Yeah.
Whereas he did well at home. So there's always obviously Gillette's a tough place to play, and obviously Peyton's teams were built for that, that fast track in Indianapolis. So a little different when you introduce some weather into it and stuff too.
Oh, what's up, Max Newman? Yeah, Cromartie had his number. I always said when the Colts got to the playoffs, they just got way too cute. And I used the phrase they got out emotioned. With Dungy, I listen, you can't say anything bad about Dungy in like life and what a man he is and everything. I cringed when we had Tony Dungy in a playoff game. I just always did. I was like, as good of a person he is, he's not the coach to give you the fiery speech to get your ass fired up for the first quarter. And we would always come out flat. And when we come out flat, the other team would have it. And he's an amazing person, but I swear to God, every time we had a big game and you could just feel they were coming out with their X's and O's. And sometimes you just got to line up and fucking pop somebody and maul somebody, get a late hit, do something to fire. And we were never that team. It was always like, well, that sucks that we went 3 and out again to start the game. And it was like, oh, fuck, here we go again. And the other team just yelling and screaming on the sidelines. And meanwhile, Peyton's got a clipboard and it's like, can somebody fucking pump up the team? I mean, Jesus. So that being said, Steve, can you 100% absolutely hands down guarantee that there were not bugs in the opposing team's locker room from the Patriots?
Oh, of course not. I mean, come on. We're talking about an organization. Come on, we're talking about an organization with no blemishes on their record. How can you question what Belichick and the Patriots are doing? I mean, that's absurd to me that you'd even ask me that question.
Oh my God!
Of
course they did. No. I would say that's a pretty far. And I got to say, guys like Belichick, Saban would not want to win that way. Part of the deal with them winning is that they did it on their own, like out-thinking the other guy,
Yeah, I agree. And Belichick, I think he's going to push the limits and do everything. Of course he's going to do everything he can to win, you know what I mean? But I think that's a little bit too far, even for
yeah,
even for Belichick.
Yeah, it is. So,
but it's funny. He actually, Manning actually believes it. So
yeah. Well, so speaking of Boston, I need to get into the Boston mindset. I love Boston fans. They tickle me to death. So can we go over the Bill Simmons thing?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So in Bill Simmons podcast, who I thoroughly enjoy. I believe he's had a real renaissance. I'm enjoying the second run of content from him. So he's going through why the Patriots could make the Super Bowl. This was before week 1. And he's like, so, we make the playoffs. And so it's like, okay, we're just assuming that with a rookie quarterback, you're just going to make the playoffs. Okay, we'll make the playoffs. And he's like, we get the wild card. Okay. we sneak through the Browns because, maybe it's like a weird game like the one we had in 2001. Okay, so he's going back 20 years to justify the first round. Then he goes, then in the second round, we beat the Chiefs. And then what? Wait, what? You just casually throw out there, we beat the Chiefs.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
So he's like, and then we get the Bills. We've played them 3 times. We know them. And then we get to the Super Bowl. Brady's going to be there. Nobody knows Brady better than Belichick. It could happen. And I was just trying to think of another fan base, and I really can't get there on I bet there are a lot of people that would go along with that from Boston.
Yeah, I'll stop when I disagree. I'll stop you when I disagree.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make the playoffs. Okay, we're make the play. Oh, we're just gonna beat the Browns because we'll compare it to a game 20 year. Yeah, so you got to see it in your area. Are you really a part of this? I mean, we're all fans. Of course, it's short for fanatics. Do you ever laugh at Boston fans?
Yeah, well, obviously, what I'm saying here is a little tongue in cheek. You know what I mean? It's a great it's a great fan base. Obviously, I love it. You know what I mean? And I do agree with some of what he said. You know what I mean? Obviously, just steamrolling the Chiefs in the postseason and looking back 20 years in a postseason game is a little much. But yeah, I mean, it was a fan base that for a long time wasn't on top. You know what I mean? And then between the Red Sox and the Patriots, and I mean the Celtics and the Bruins, obviously to some degree as well. We're on top now. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then after the loss in week 1, he made the case that was a good thing. So that way they could be motivated to play the Jets. I was like, all right, okay, here we go. So, all right, let's do a segment you came up with, Steve. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Your father never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
Oh, what the hell's with you?
All right, so this is your father never had the makings of a varsity athlete. This is where we go over somebody who we're just not quite sure if they're gonna make it as an elite athlete. So we went back and forth with a few of these, and I think we settled on we're just not quite sure if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is elite and gonna be amazing. So, Steve, go ahead and start. I got concerns.
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, last season, obviously he had some injury issues and stuff, but he just hasn't looked dominant at all since those early games of last year. And then this past week, I mean, he came in cold, but fumbling that ball like that was oh my God, it was the game. You know what I mean? So he just maybe he doesn't have the makings for varsity athlete.
Maybe he's just not a varsity athlete. And I had him in fantasy all last year, and he was really good at the beginning, and then it just never. So I'm looking at his stats here, and I mean, they're just bad. I mean, they're just really, really bad. He had 4 rushing touchdowns, 2020 with this offense, and yeah, they're always going to pass. When you have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, yeah, you should pass. But it's kind of like, you hear about, well, use the run to set up the pass. This offense should have the pass to set up the run. Edwards-Helaire should be facing some pretty weak fronts, and he just is not getting it done. And they use that last first round pick on him, and I'm just wondering what if there was an offensive tackle available. Or the other thing is, look at these rookie wide receivers that are coming in and starting off hot. Can you imagine if they would have snagged a badass rookie wide receiver in that draft? So I don't know what are we seeing from the Chiefs? Is it a bad fit? What is it with him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a great point by you, though. That I mean, he should be running free out there, right? With Kelce and Hill, all the attention that they garner, and so yeah, maybe it is a bad fit, but maybe it's tough, man. He just hasn't been the same since that injury. You know what I mean? I know we're only 2 games into the year this year, but he doesn't seem.
Let me do this. So all right, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets drafted. The very next pick is T. Higgins. The next pick is Michael Pittman, who I still have questions on. But then, dude, DeAndre Swift goes to the Lions. Oh, I mean, it's one of the. Here's another one. I know he's hurt, but Cam Akers went after that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really, really incredible running backs and wide receivers, and I feel like they may have whiffed on this one, which probably is good for the league because a healthy Cam Akers on that team. Oh my God, what do you do?
Yeah, or some of those other. I mean, T. Higgins out there with those other receivers and stuff, or Swift. I mean, he looked really good last night at points, So I mean, him on the Chiefs would be. Yeah, it's crazy that he's not taking advantage of that opportunity. Yeah,
I don't get it. So Dallas Cowboy fans going to win it all every year. I don't know if it's Dallas Cowboys or if it's just Fox Sports. I've made it a goal. I love listening to Colin Cowherd, and I like Skip and Shannon at times. I actually made it a point whenever they start talking about Cowboys, I turn it off. I stop because I refuse to give Jerry Jones and that fucking team any anymore. So yeah, this week's we're not sure if their varsity athlete is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So all right, let's get into NFL betting. I guess where we'll start is we've been good. I'm just going to cut to it. We've been good. And I wanted to change my mindset going into this year. And I made a lot of mistakes last year. And I said, I'm just not going to repeat those mistakes. And I feel like we haven't, and we've been really, really good. So I want to talk about just like what we've done. And then can we keep it going? Because if we keep up, I know it's only 2 weeks, but if we keep up the pace, my God, we're going to have a really profitable all-time season, right?
Yeah, we've been doing really well. I'm really smart the way we're doing things with the long-term approach on some of these plays, and so we've hit on some big teasers and some really nice player props as well. And it's kind of like a thinking that we have now that some of these guys, we're going to take more than just once a week or not necessarily matchup based. We're looking at long term what they can do week to week. So.
Yeah. So one of the ones I talked about was Mike Evans. We're just going to play this prop every week. It's just Mike Evans score a touchdown, unless it gets down to like your minus 175. But like I was talking about on Wager Talk today, if it gets down to minus 175, that means it's hit. That means it's hit a bunch of weeks in a row. Maybe we only get 7 or 8 weeks out of it. But if we do, call it 8 weeks. We've probably gone 6-2, done with that prop, file it away, and we just went 6-2 on a prop, right?
Yeah, and it was, look at what happened too. We missed on week 1, and then we bounced back week 2 with 2 touchdowns at a better price.
Plus 125. Yeah, you come back and play that thing. Just play that thing. Just come back.
At that rate, we're actually already up on it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. We're actually
yeah.
It's a small amount.
I will tell you the big slip up that I've had is my kicker props have been awful. There are kickers that go over their total every week. I went back to Jason Sanders and Young Hoi Koo, and it just hasn't worked out. I think I'm 0 for like 4 on kicker props. It's been the big blemish, believe it or not. So I'm going to kind of eliminate those for now. The only one that I'm really keeping my eye on is Dustin Hopkins. That Washington team, not being able to punch into the end zone.
Yeah, it's tough to gauge those kicker props though, just because so much is based on the game script, So it comes down to, do they punch it in at points? Is there a kickoff return or a defensive, an interception or fumble recovery that turns into a quick 6 that's an extra point instead of a field goal? It's tough to gauge some of those.
Well, I'll go through some quarterback. These are quarterbacks who can move the ball but can't quite punch it in. Taylor Heineke, perfect example. Perfect. Get a scramble, hand it off to Gibson, hit McLaurin, get to the 25-yard line. So, I think Taylor Heineke is kind of your really, really good quarterback that you're going to need. They're starting Justin Fields apparently in Chicago now, I guess. And if Andy Dalton's hurt, to me, I think he's raw. but he's going to get you some first downs on the scrambles. But once he gets inside the 30, I might look at some of those. I do have to go say, or I do have to say, I kind of like the Lions. I kind of like the Detroit Lions. They're at least feisty.
Yeah, they were able to drive down the field a little bit and get in that range, but not much in it sometimes.
They actually have a fight to them. Like they're not going to lose 31-0. Like they have in the past. Like I got to give the coach credit. He's for some reason they've bought into it. He's a meathead, but
that's a team that we had really looked deep into in the before the season had started, when we were researching our props and our plays for the year, for the season long plays. And remember, the strength was the offensive line, and that's really played out there. That offensive line is, and they even mentioned it last night in the broadcast that the coach said that it's the strength of the team. It's what they're gonna base the team off of now. If Goff is dropping the ball left and right and throwing interceptions, it's not going to matter how good the offensive line is. But it's the weather, though, right? I mean,
yeah.
Jesus.
So let's go over some teams that we want nothing to do with betting wise. And I will tell you, like, the teasers have worked great for us. We've hit 2 5% plays on Wager Talk. Those have worked great. We've only done one spread, and that was just a beautiful call. You loved Seattle over the Colts in week 1, and I was like, hell yeah, man, these Colts are not ready to start the season. But no full game totals, very, very few spreads, and man, the holes in the market in the props. I don't say it's holes in the market, but just more opportunities. And I think the biggest thing the biggest adjustment I made was I was like, I'm not going to not put a play up that I like. Like last year, I was just worried. It's like, oh man, what if I have 6 plays in the NFL this week? Then you look back and that just sounds fucking stupid. You're like, there's like 900 props up there. So I think, Steve, we ended up with 26 plays over the week. But when you think about it, like each game has 50 props on it. So there's just going to be a lot more opportunities, and it's worked. Like the volume betting, which everyone that has known me for a while knows I am not a fan of volume betting, but props in NFL seems to be working for us, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been really working out really well so far. I mean, we've even liked a lot of the other ones too that we've cut off the list. We could have had 40 this week probably, right? But I mean, it's more volume, but we're finding the right spots, it seems.
Let's go over some teams that I want nothing to do with as far as prop betting, because I can't figure them out. Number one, the Giants. I'm not going to be able to figure this team out at all. There will not be any Giants props on my card for a long time. On the other side, I really liked the Texans when they had Tyrod Taylor. I'm so bummed that he got hurt. I was so excited about this team. We hit him to throw over 2 touchdowns in week 1 at like plus 190. It was so great. Now I don't get the Tyrod Taylor with the Texans. Damn it.
That's too bad, right? I mean, and I don't know what you're going to do with David Mills now. That's not going to be a team you want to look at. I mean, I would stick with New York. I would go to the Jets as well. I mean, that's a team that. Are there any props that you're going to go with them? Zach.
Well, the Wilson interception is going to be minus 250.
Yeah,
they don't have a running back. Yeah, they don't have a running back. You can't, and I doubt the Jets are even going to put any running back lines out. I mean, Corey Davis is a good receiver, but when he's the only receiver running around out there, what's the other team going to do? So, and I think the books are just going to put their player props so low that it's just like, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. So, the Raiders are going to be interesting when Josh Jacobs comes back, because they're throwing, and if they add Jacobs to the mix, all of a sudden that offense looks pretty interesting. Derek Carr leads the league in passing yards. Didn't see that coming out of week 2. They kind of intrigue me, and I got to say, the Saints falling back to earth. After the ridiculous week 1, I can see a lot of unders on the Saints moving forward.
Yeah, polar opposite weeks for them. They looked unstoppable against Green Bay, and this week it was completely the opposite. And that's My gosh, that's a tough one to judge right there. Them in New England
Yeah.
this week coming up. That's going to be a tough game to call as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about some going-ons at Wager Talk. So we've been working together since about mid-May.
Yeah.
Pretty different when you're doing this for a living and with a company, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot different. You're thinking about it all the time. I love it though. It's a grind at some points, but you're working on it all the time. You're watching the games to see the results, and but I love it, and I wouldn't want to do anything else, honestly.
Yeah. So, is this your first $2 Tuesday?
I believe so. Yeah, I don't think we've had. Yeah, no, we haven't had one yet. So.
Okay. So let me explain. Let me explain the $2 Tuesday from the inside. So, every week we have the $2 Tuesday featured handicapper. It's generally a handicapper that's doing really, really well. That's on some hot streaks that they want to get some publicity behind. So they feature him. We don't put up any other plays besides the $2 play. And we got off to a good NFL start. So we're in the featured $2 Tuesday. Now, there was a long stretch where the $2 Tuesday would lose. And then this was like a long time ago. And then it became a thing to buy it and bet against it. That was an actual thing.
The curse of the $2 Tuesday.
Yes, because what happens is we'll get just a lot of people that buy the $2 Tuesday.
Yeah, well, why not, right?
Yeah. So we're the $2 Tuesday thing, and the way you do it is you can just throw up a little 3% play and know nothing, or you can go big and just say, do we put our biggest play up there because we know we're gonna have a ton of eyes on our play. If you lose, you look like an asshole to a bunch of people, but if it wins, you're like, oh wow, look at all these new people that just had a winning experience with us. So Steve, $2 Tuesday, it's very, very stressful. What's your guess for how many we have? We still have, it's about 7:00 when we're recording this Eastern time. So we have like 5 hours left. How many people do you think purchase a $2 Tuesday?
I know you told me what the all-time record was and stuff. So the all-time record's insane. Are we at triple digits? 100?
600 people have bought.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm confident in the play, though. Wow. I love it.
And we still have a long time.
5 hours, right? Yeah, yes. Jump on it, people, because it's an NFL play that's on Sunday. So
yeah,
if you don't get it now, you're gonna end up paying for the normal price for the pick. So get on it now.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So awesome. and I know everyone right now is like, oh wow, so they made $1,200 today. That is not how it works, by the way. Like, there's a lot of expenses on the back end. The IT department does not pay for itself. So, but yes, the $2 Tuesday on Wager Talk is. I swear, they should. I swear, at Wager Talk, we should do a day in the life of the $2 Tuesday person and what their day is like, because you got to promote it. So you got to do Wager Talk today. You got to do all these other videos. And then if it's a baseball play, it goes off at 9:00, dude, you are just sitting there sweating. Every pitch means the world to you.
I'll be honest. I kind of lowballed it saying 100 because I didn't want to come in at 250 and you'd be like, oh no, 76. Like, oh, all right. but I wouldn't have guessed 600 either. So
yeah. So, but okay. We have to do a couple of other things. So Steve, I started working with you because we just kind of was like, let's do a couple collaboration plays. And then I think this should, I hope this helps everybody. I will tell you my winning percentage skyrocketed once I started working with somebody else. And I don't know, I think it was just a combination of things. But most people out there do what I was doing, which was like you just bet on your own. That's what you were doing, right?
Yeah, I was on Twitter. I was posting picks every day and just trying to get my feet in the water essentially when I met you.
As much success as I've had in the gambling world, I've seen my winning percentage go to levels that I did not know I could get to in some of these sports. And I work better when I'm working with people. I don't work great when I'm alone. But I got to say, after seeing this, I think I would recommend to a lot of people, if you find somebody that you work well with, that's how you should do gambling. I don't want to go back to like just doing I do NASCAR and golf, just like the write-ups, because those are not sports that you're, that you follow.
They're not in my wheelhouse. Yeah.
Yeah. But like this, like, what is it that's worked? And like, I don't know. I would just tell people out there, if you're struggling by yourself, find a buddy who you trust and just start bouncing ideas off each other. It's worked.
Yeah, it's worked beautifully. I think a lot of it is that there's points where we talk each other off of a play. There's something that one of us brings to the table, and the other guy's just like, I'm not completely sold on it, so we'll leave that one off. But the other part is the side of it when we go, Cardinals tomorrow, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, we both love this one.
Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah, I was already looking at that one. We're like, okay, fire away on that 100% for sure. You know what I mean? And then just the research of it, where we've worked together and kind of, finding different angles and trends and stuff like that, and working together has been profitable for both of us. So
yeah, it's been really good. I would encourage everybody to just, I don't know. And obviously you don't want to partner up with a dipshit. That's not going to get you anywhere. But if there's somebody that you trust that you can work well with, it's been great. And so I have started working with Corbin. You will know him from Takedown Live. And Corbin came to me and was like, I'm awesome at tennis. And I was like, what do you mean you're awesome at tennis? And he's like, I'm awesome at betting tennis. And me, if I can make money in gambling, I'll do it. I don't care what the sport is. Like, I don't care about hitting a bit, and that's how I got started. Was I found weaknesses in NASCAR and golf because nobody was betting them. So Corbin tells me about tennis, and I was like, all right, let's beta test these tennis plays. So, and Corbin lives in England, so he has way more like tennis lines than we do. So he started looking at DraftKings, and he started sending me these plays. And I was like, what in the fuck are these plays? He would parlay. It's like, I'm going to parlay this woman in the Luxembourg Open over 8.5 games in the first set. I'm like, what? And then I'm going to parlay like this guy who I've never heard of. And then I'm going to parlay that with this third piece. And then the odds just come out like minus 190. I was like, that's not a bet. What is that? It's not a betting strategy.
It sounds like the ultimate. I mean, I know it's work though, but it sounds like the ultimate sucker's
That's
bet,
what's
right?
crazy.
Like, I'm gonna parlay the money line from the Bears -800 against with the Saints at -500 and the Browns at -4, and it'll come up to -200. You'd be like, you trying to kill yourself?
Yeah, don't do that. And so we beta tested. I worked with him. And then we started releasing, and now we're number one on the website for tennis, 20-8. And what's been hilarious is like a couple of the losses is when he went out on a limb and tried to take an underdog.
Yeah, you told me that. His first loss was trying to take an underdog, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
I guess he should stick to the parlay the big favorites. It's smart.
He's cashed 4 in a row at all like minus 180. And he's younger guy. I was like, how long have you been doing this? It's like, like really like paying attention for about 1.5 years. I was like, and this has worked. He's like, worked like a gem. So yes, we are now doing tennis plays on Wager Talk. And I have to price them at like $9 because nobody knows about them.
Yeah,
half of them are in the middle of the night, U.S. time, like 4 a.m. Eastern time or something. So
makes it tough for the niche sports. It's tough on the niche sports. Like
Yeah, it's really funny. So yes, we've added tennis to that. So, okay, there was Survivor Pool, NFL Survivor Pool. You're in one, right?
Yeah, I'm still alive. 2 weeks into it. Yeah,
A lot of people aren't.
faded. Yeah, well, I faded the Lions both weeks, so that worked out well for me. Took the Niners and the Pack. Used up those two.
The Niners was a good play. That's an injury-prone team that that's good to kind of get out of the way.
Yeah.
So
Kind of wish I would. I kind of wish I would have used the Pats this week instead of the Packers, but I was just more confident in the Packers. So early on, I'm just trying to get wins and survive.
So I've done really well in Survivor pools, and I'm kind of kicking myself. I was so worried about props, I just didn't even do Survivor pool. But the best I've done has been planning out the games and just trying to go against the grain. And then Las Vegas Chris, like NFL handicapper extraordinaire, he's like been on panels to talk about how he wins these things, and he never takes the obvious. He's like, you have to take the games that nobody else is on. You have to get rid of a big chunk of the crowd. Like you like if 90% of the people are on, 3 games, you can't be on one of those games because you're just advancing with everybody else. You have to. So he plays it tricky. I got to say, I think I would have taken the Texans in week 1 against Jacksonville. I think I would have tried to get a Texans win.
That would have been slick. That would have been slick.
So I guess what are the teams that you could just say I'm going to fade indefinitely? I mean, the Jets, obviously, Jacksonville's like awful.
The Lions. This week
the Lions worry me. God, the Lions worry me. So, all right. So we rope off San Fran and we're looking at Green Bay. Well, that's interesting. They play each other. So Monday night, Eagles, Cowboys, no. Seahawks, Vikings, no. Buccaneers, Rams, no. I mean, Broncos, Jets, Broncos at home. That's a pretty obvious one. As somebody that watched Jacoby Brissett, I would tell you the Raiders are pretty good at home against the Dolphins. My problem is I don't trust John Gruden. But when you need to win 17 games, you're probably going to have to put the Raiders in something. That might be a really good Raiders, like use your Raiders pick against a Dolphins team if Tua's out. Falcons, Giants, have fun trying to put that in your Survivor pool. Saints, Patriots, you don't want anything with that. Bears, Browns, nah. Football team, Bills. Bills you could use your Bills pick this week. Washington still can't beat good quarterbacks. Chargers, Chiefs, no way I would do that. Titans, Colts. Colts have one quarterback that's healthy and one with 2 sprained ankles.
Yeah, they're in rough shape right now. So Titans at home too. So
yeah, Ravens, Lions. That's going to be your 80% of people are on. That's where everybody is going to be on them. And I got to tell you, Ravens, big emotional win. Coming home, maybe take the foot off the gas. Detroit at home.
They already lost one, so they're going to beat the Lions.
Cardinals, Jaguars. I love that one. And without Tyrod Taylor, I got to say my pick would be the Panthers. This week, I would use a Carolina Panthers. I think that team is really good. Isn't it amazing what happens when Sam Darnold gets out of New York? Isn't that just like fucking amazing? He can all of a sudden complete 69% of his passes. That team and that organization is a cesspool of just sucking talent out of players. They are.
Yeah. He looks like a different quarterback. He looks great, and that's one of the teams I was looking at. I got 3. I got 3 that I'm looking at hard,
I got to say, I would use the Panthers because Darnold looks good. I think that defense is gnarly. It's just a sneaky, really good. And as much as I kind of like the Houston Texans, it was all dependent on you got a bunch of really smart veterans like Tyrod Taylor and Mark Ingram and Phillip Lindsay and Brandon Cooks now that he's healthy. He's kind of that veteran team that isn't going to kill itself. But I can't I can't trust that team with Davis, Mills, and
No.
the Panthers would be a really sneaky team that I think they take care of business on Thursday. So I don't know. So all right, was that was you said that was one of them?
Yeah, Panthers are one of them. It's a sneaky one, but it's not It's not what I'm going to use. I don't think, just because Thursday night games are just a little.
I get it.
Wonky,
Okay.
like a little. Stuff can go sideways sometimes. Although the Panthers should handle them.
Yeah. What were your other two? And let me guess which one you're going to use.
I'm looking at Ravens and Broncos. Ravens, Broncos, Panthers were my three considerations for it.
I think you're going to go against. I think you're going to go against my recommendation, and you're going to use your Baltimore.
No, I'm actually leaning towards. I'm going to do Broncos.
Yes,
I'm going to do the Broncos because I just feel like I'll save the Ravens. For maybe a Cincinnati game or the Broncos are a team I could see myself because I'm not going to take them against their division.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, but yeah, Baltimore either. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm going to go with the Broncos because they're at home. I don't see the Jets going in there and winning that game, and I think that using up the Broncos isn't the worst thing.
Yeah, I really like that Broncos team. I loved when they brought in Bridgewater. That dude is now 23-3 against the spread on the road in his career.
When you had told me that statistic last week when we were talking, that blows my mind. I almost said I don't even believe it. I still don't believe it. Even though
I got some other stats I'm going to use on propping up this week. You ready for them?
Yeah.
All right. So here's some stats to wet your whistle. Tom Brady has 9 touchdown passes in the first 2 games of 2021. Cam Newton had 8 all last season with New England.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't throw it more than 10 yards. That was such a great prop to take his under
longest pass.
Almost anything for him, really. I mean, I was looking forward to maybe doing it again, but we'll take Mac Jones instead.
Yeah. Stat number 2, the Browns have 7 rushing touchdowns this season. Pretty freaking good. The Colts, Jaguars, and Jets combined have 0.
And they might, the Browns, they might even be running it more now. No Jarvis. I mean, I know Jarvis Landry actually was one of those rushing touchdowns, but he's out
and
now,
he's out.
So.
Him and Odell are out. So, and here's a stat one for you for props. We're definitely going to utilize this one. Tyrod Taylor, Jameis Winston, and Carson Wentz all have more rushing yards than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is not running; he's throwing.
Yeah, I think I did the write up on him. So it was 5 attempts per game so far. So
he got hurt running. That was like he was so good, and then he got hurt on a run. I think they just said, "Dude, we need you healthy. You only run unless you only run when we need you to. You use your mobility to escape in the backfield.
Yeah, definitely. He does have 2 rushing touchdowns though. So.
But it might be a great spot for under his rushing yards, if he's just not running. So, good stuff. The last thing I just want to touch on is I have just been fascinated by the Barstool Sports phenomenon, just like how they started. I was kind of a fringe, I was never a diehardo. I liked some of the stuff. I didn't like some of the stuff. And all of their hard work and all their craziness and all their silliness and them building the juggernaut, they're just a sports book now. Was that the end game? Is this what Barstool Sports is? It's they take people's bet. They're a bookie.
Was an entertaining bookie though.
Yeah, but that's it. They could have gone in so many different directions. Now listen, having a square ass sports book, which I don't know if you've been to any of their sports books or seen their lines, you got to be shitting me. That shit should be regulated and illegal for some of the stuff they put up there. But just all the talent they did in the audience they built, that's it. That was it. Why do they not have their own successful sports channel, or I don't know. I just can't. I can't wrap my head around that they built themselves at that big, and now they're hiring. I mean, I love Kelly in Vegas and Megan making money and all those. It's great, but it was like that's the pinnacle. What happened?
Well, I don't know. I think that they're still doing their thing as far as the, bringing the content and the entertainment. Obviously, I still watch some of their shows, and it's funny. You know what I mean? I guess that was maybe, it was a natural move into becoming a sports book, maybe. But they're still, Portnoy's smart. He's doing all sorts of different things, So they're starting to broadcast, college games and stuff like that. So they're gonna.
That was a good move for them. That I will congratulate them on that. That was a great move. I mean, we can go through all the stuff, all the hilarious. Like, do you remember when the NFL wouldn't let Tony Romo go to a fantasy football convention in Vegas? Do you remember that was a real thing?
Yeah.
And now they're like advertising DraftKings in their stadiums.
Yeah, it was like a dirty little secret before, where people would, you'd hear the announcers talking and just be like, well, some people aren't, like there'd be a garbage touchdown at the end of the game. They're like, well, that mattered to some people. You know what I mean? But
now the NCAA, the NCAA is, one. I always said the NCAA is like one step like above the Sopranos, like mob families. It's it's like oil companies, like banks, the Sopranos, and then the NCAA like tops everybody with those fucking assholes. Oh no, it's all about the athlete. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. So we have all these bowl games. Now, who's doing one of them? Oh, the gambling company.
Yeah.
Not even trying to hide it anymore. Not even like what? So Barstool gets their own. They get to do anything they want with this ball game. And here's the NCAA going, here's the keys to the car. Oh my God.
That's what's coming. I mean, it should be interesting to say the least. I mean, but it's entertaining, man. He's, and he's going to always be doing different things. He's such a smart guy, and he built that company from nothing, so.
Oh, I respect them and everything they did. I was really bummed that not enough bigger companies, networks, and people got on board with his with the small business thing that he did during the pandemic. Because
that was awesome.
You can tell when he does things from the heart. Like you can tell when he's being a fucking goofball or when he's like doing dumb stuff, and then you can just you can see when he gets that look in his eyes where he's like, we're going to do something that's awesome. This means something to me and to the people. And it's got to be one of the reasons for his success is like when he did that. And it was,
I love the pizza reviews, man.
They're great.
The unboxing during the pandemic we talked about that. He was hilarious during that. I mean, you could only watch it for so long, but watching him open like samurai swords and chop open a package, and now he's got a live goldfish and you know what I mean? And like, it's just, people are sending him everything that you could possibly think of,
Yeah. No,
it was funny.
No, it was good. I was so disappointed when he put it out. He's like, I will come on any news network, for free. Give me this is what I'm doing. And contacting him. And it was like, cause all those cable news and all those ones were like, well, this doesn't fit into our algorithm. Like, no, we need to shit on whatever politician we need to tonight. And it was like one fucking network gave him a platform to go out there and do it, which to me was so stupid. Like if you're a cable news network, why wouldn't you want to keep up with something like that? Doesn't that make you look like the news company of the people?
And you get a lot of eyeballs on it too. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. And
talk about bringing new eyeballs. Yeah, you get the Barstool.
You're helping people too.
Yes,
you know what I mean. You're helping people too. Like, what's wrong with that? I mean, you could tell. You were right. You're right. He was passionate about that. You could tell.
Yeah.
But for only one news station to contact him back, that was crazy.
And it was like, really, CNN? You don't want to crack at the Barstool Sports audience, the millions of people? Give them a shot. Have your best anchor. have your best female funny anchor go like toe to toe with him about like some sports stuff, and then boom, go right into like, the fund and everything. Like it could have been a home run, and I was stunned that nobody like took him up on that. But yeah, it was cool. But I just the sports book thing is just I don't know, blows my mind a little bit. So
yeah.
All right. So Ryder Cup is coming up. I'll try and put out some content on Ryder Cup. I can't do anything right now because they don't release the pairings until Thursday. They do a cool opening ceremony. Steve, that fucking Ryder Cup is up in Wisconsin. It's 15 minutes away from where my family lives. I was gonna be there in 2020. Damn it!
Oh man.
Yeah.
Damn,
yeah. So we'll have a Ryder Cup package up. It's so fun to bet on the Ryder Cup because do you watch the Ryder Cup at all? Do you kind of get into the golf?
A little bit, not a ton. You know what I mean? I'm more into some other sports, but
yeah,
I watched.
It is an amazing gambling experience because they pair the guys up, so you get 2 Americans versus 2 Europeans, and there's like 8 teams. They go off in the morning, and then when they're all done, they make new pairings. They go off in the afternoon. So like as they're getting done, you're cashing bets or you're losing bets, but then you got to figure out what are the afternoon pairings. You have like 30 minutes to get your bet in, and it's like that for 3 days. It's awesome. And it's so good. So we'll try and do some more live content. So, awesome. All right, Steve, I think it's good enough. We're just going to start over from scratch and build this up. We're going to have a lot more content on the YouTube channel and podcast. So, hopefully we make you guys some money, make you guys laugh a little bit. I don't want to tell them about our new concept that you and I've been working on. I just want to debut it and see what people think. It's these shorter videos. I'm very, very excited about it. So, that's good. So, thanks a lot, everybody, for listening. I'm Andy. That's Steve. See you next time. Bumper on Sports.
Have a great night.